Hello, friends. This is Akul Mac Live, and I am Chandrakant. Uh, Today, in the legal matters, we will talk about what is the sedition law. And most of us would be knowing that sedition was the biggest tool used against Indians during the freedom struggle by the British. And today, we are using the same law among Indians. There has been very loosely framed legal system which tells very clearly where sedition is applicable, where not. So today we have this discussion which is going to be very interesting. It will bring about a lot of clarity around the freedom of speech, and sedition also help you differentiate between the two. So stick around to this show and we will have a very interesting and distinguished guest to tell us more about it. Welcome back, friends. And today's subject is about sedition. And recently there was a case on the famous journalist Vinod Dua. And to discuss this case, I have my friend joining in from Ahmedabad, Mr. Jeet Bhatt, who's also a practicing advocate in Ahmedabad High Court. So welcome to the show, Jeet.
Thank you, Chandrakant, for having me on this show. And yes, we are going to discuss an important legal matter today with regards to the sedition laws in India, and also the case of Vinod Dua versus Union of India.
Well, Jeet, recently Vinod Dua has been making a lot of YouTube videos, and he has a huge fan followers because he has been around since our childhood. We used to see his programs when there was only Doordarshan, and he has been there with Doordarshan for very long time. And he's also done so many series of different programs on the TV as well as on YouTube. And recently there has been a case on him. So why don't you tell our viewers about more about this case?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, everybody must have heard about Vinod Dua. He's a very reputed journalist and also awarded Padma Bhushan. So certainly he's a very well-known journalist in this country. So basically, his case, which the Supreme Court delivered a very landmark judgment recently, is based on the sedition laws in India. Now, sedition is referred to as the prince of all the laws which the Britishers have imposed in order to repress the country, repress the people of this country. And that is what had been said by Mahatma Gandhi in the famous trial in Ahmedabad, in which he also faced the charges of a case of sedition against him, wherein he pleaded guilty and was sentenced for a term of 6 years in the Ahmedabad Sessions Court in 1919 or 1920. But that is a very famous case of sedition in India and a very famous trial, wherein the judge also remarked that even I would be very happy if Mr. Gandhi is remitted or his sentence is reduced. But in law, this is the sentence, and since he has pleaded guilty, my hands are bound and I have to prescribe a punishment of 6 years. But his speech was very powerful in that case against him, though he pleaded guilty. But sedition, as he has said, is the prince of all the sections under the Indian Penal Code, which the Britishers have imposed in order to repress the freedom of speech and expression. And therefore, after the constitution being framed, and after prescribing the freedom of speech and expression and guaranteeing it to every citizen under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, this section of sedition did come in conflict with the fundamental right and was attacked in a case before the Punjab and Haryana High Court in the year 1950, wherein the judgment of Tara Singh Gopichand, the Punjab High Court declared this section to be invalid on the grounds of violation of fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression. And it said that this section of the Indian Penal Code is not in accordance with the sovereign, republic and democratic country that India is. And therefore it is invalid as it violates the fundamental right of freedom and speech and expression. But because of this judgment in the year 1950, and because of the judgment of Romesh Thapar and Brij Bhushan, declaring certain acts which provided for public order, wherein it provided restrictions on press, which came up before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court struck down those laws with regards to public order and public maintenance as being violative of fundamental right and infringing freedom of speech and expression. the parliament at that time, by way of the first constitutional amendment, brought in certain restrictions on this freedom of speech and expression. And at that time, the president, Mr. Rajendra Prasad, said that it is an irony of fate that the first thing that is to be assailed in the constitution is the fundamental rights. As the first constitutional amendment, several fundamental rights and brought in more restrictions than what the original constitution makers had provided. So by way of this first amendment to the constitution, Article 19 Clause 2 came to be amended. And Article 19 Clause 2 provides for reasonable restrictions to be prescribed in order to exercise the right of freedom of speech and expression. So on what grounds this fundamental right can be restricted came to be amended, and certain restrictions which were not there in the original constitution came to be inserted. And it provided that one of the restrictions which can be imposed on this fundamental right was in order to have public order. So any act which prescribes or which advances public order or decency or morality, or is in the interest of security of the state, cannot be a violation of fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression, and will be considered to be a reasonable restriction. So therefore, in the interest of the security of the state and public order, which came to be added by way of the First Amendment, the section of sedition came to be revalidated. And since this amendment was with retrospective effect, the judgment of Punjab High Court came to be nullified. So therefore, despite of the High Court declaring a section to be invalid on the ground of violation of fundamental right, came to be revalidated and came to be implemented by way of this first constitutional amendment. And this is very interesting because this is the part of history which is not very much aware with regards to the right of press, as this is how an invalid section came to be revalidated by the amendment to the Constitution. Now, with regards to sedition, there is a landmark judgment of the Supreme Court in the year 1962, where in the matter of Kedarnath, the Supreme Court curtailed the ambit of this sedition law, because sedition law, if I may just put it what it is provided as an offense under section 124. And it says that whoever by words, either spoken or written, brings to attempt or brings into hatred, to contempt, or excites or attempts to excite disaffection towards the government established by law in India, shall be punished with transportation for life or any shorter term to which fine may be added. So this is a provision, a penal provision under the Indian Penal Code, where the offense prescribes for a punishment for life. So this is an offense against the state, and whoever by words either spoken or written brings or attempts to bring into hatred or contempt, or excites or attempts to excite disaffection towards the government. So at that time, Supreme Court in 1962, interpreting this provision, held that this section will have to be read in accordance with the fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression. And it has to be ensured that it has to be reconciled, because this section violates fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression. And therefore, the Supreme Court held that what constitutes this is that a person who excites disaffection against the government by way of promoting or by unlawful means any alteration to the state, or incites a disturbance of the peace, or raises discontent among the subjects of the country, or excites class hatred. If it complies with these conditions, then only can a statement written or spoken come within the ambit of an offense of sedition. So therefore, it curtailed its ambit and restricted it to certain class of action which incites violence. So not every kind of word spoken or written which is a dissent to the government's policy or criticizing the government would come within the ambit of sedition. But some such form of speech which would incite violence or would ask the people to take arms or to rebel or revolt against the government, then and then only would such speech or writing come within the ambit of sedition. So this is how in 1962 Supreme Court reconciled the offense of sedition with fundamental right to speech and expression. But with regards to the case of Mr. Vinod Dua, what he had done is that he had put up a video on his YouTube channel wherein he said and criticized the government's action with regards to the COVID preparedness. And it was alleged in the FIR that he mentioned that Narendra Modi has used deaths and terror attacks to garner votes. And he claims that the government does not have enough testing facilities and has made false statement about the availability of the personal protective kits and has stated that there is no sufficient information on those. He also went on to state that ventilators and sanitizer exports were stopped only on 24th March 2020. He also said that he spread false and malicious news by stating that with regards to information about COVID preparedness of the government. So these were the allegations against him in the FIR. And an FIR under section 124A was instituted against Mr. Dua in Himachal Pradesh. And he preferred a petition before the Supreme Court challenging the said FIR and for the quashment of the FIR before the Supreme Court. Now, Supreme Court, considering the entire law on sedition also with regards to its history and how it came into in India under the Indian Penal Code, the Supreme Court ultimately held that none of the statements made by Mr. Vinod Dua constituted an offense of sedition and therefore quashed and set aside the FIR which was registered against him in the state of Himachal Pradesh. So what the Supreme Court held in his case was that the provisions of the section along with the explanation makes it reasonably clear that the section aims at rendering penal only such activities as would be intended or have a tendency to create disorder or disturbance of public peace by resort to violence. And as already pointed out, the explanation appended to the main body of the section makes it clear that criticism of public measure or comment on government action, however strongly worded, would be within reasonable limits and would be consistent with the fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression. And it is only when the words written or spoken which have the pernicious tendency or intention of creating public disorder or disturbance of law and order that the law steps in to prevent such activities in the interest of public order. So conclude the section, in opinion of the Supreme Court, strikes the correct balance between individual fundamental freedom and the interest of public order. So therefore, the Supreme Court, by way of this judgment, quashed and set aside the FIR which is registered against Mr. Dua. So this is how the case came to be dismissed. The FIR came to be quashed by the Supreme Court by holding that the offense of sedition can be constituted only if the words spoken are so strong that it would incite violence. Otherwise, however strong the condemnation of the government or the people in the government, or however strong the criticism against the government, would not lead to an offense of sedition. So this is a very important judgment because a lot of time this section is misused, and even a fair and just criticism of the government is used in order to curb the dissent and criticism by invoking sections like sedition against individuals. So therefore, it's a very important and a landmark judgment of the Supreme Court.
Indeed, Jeet, it is a very landmark judgment, and I feel that sedition has been used time and again against many individuals as a means to sort of teach them a lesson, and it is the most ultimate punishment it draws. So that is why I think this kind of judgments are important, so that people know what is sedition and what is a normal speech or an expression, just like in this case. Because I think Vinod Dua made a video like you and I are making a video. I think we can express our opinion on anything as long as we are not talking against the country. I think that is where sedition lies, where we are not talking against the country, against a particular community, against people, or inciting violence. So as long as that is true, I think that is clarity is required. But many times, Jeet, I feel that even people don't understand the clear definition of the legal aspects. So in such cases, what people should do, I mean, they should know their limits, isn't it?
Yes, Chandrakant, you are absolutely right. In fact, rather than use of this section, a lot of times this section has been misused because there's an absolute. You're absolutely right that every citizen has a freedom of speech and expression, so they can express their opinions, they can express themselves, they can put up their speeches online on contents, social platforms, and the restriction is that it should not incite violence or it should not ask people to rebel or revolt. So with this in mind, with this thin line, if the people do not cross, then they're expressing their opinion, their speech is absolutely protected as their fundamental right, and therefore everybody has this right to express themselves. But you are right, people are not aware. In fact, even the police machinery and also the executives are not aware of this line of distinction which has been drawn by the Supreme Court, and therefore a lot of times this misuse of this section is seen. But then if this section has been invoked by the police, then the remedy would lie to approach the High Court for quashing of the FIR if the contents of the FIR do not disclose the commission of the offense of sedition. So a just, fair, or a proper criticism of the government or government's personnel can never amount to an act of sedition, and that is what has been clearly laid down by the Supreme Court. Because every person has a right to dissent, every person has a right to criticize the policies of the government, and that would not become an offense, because then that would be curtailing and curbing the right of freedom of speech and expression, which is one of the most important liberties which every citizen in a democratic setup has. So this has been accepted and accepted by the Supreme Court in several of its decisions. That right to freedom of speech and expression is a very fundamental, important civil liberty that a citizen is entitled in a democratic country, because transfer of information is possible through speech, either written or spoken. And therefore, it is very important that people are aware and people participate in a democratic process. And that is possible only if citizens have this fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression.
Absolutely. Jeet, in fact, I have one basic question here, and that is about the fake news. Because any fake news creator can also get away with his right of freedom of speech, because fake news can be snowballed into something much, much bigger, and then the originator of that news can simply walk away saying that, hey, I just reported what I felt. So do you have an opinion on this aspect as well?
Yes, Chandrakant. In fact, with social media, there are a lot of fake news are being spread. But with regards to the right of press, the journalists also have a duty to ensure to fact check that whether what they are sending or publishing is correct or not. So with regards to journalism, there are their codes of ethics which they have to follow. And if they are properly followed, then at least they would not be the spreaders of fake news. But with regards to general public, if they are not aware and if they are spreading fake news, but to that extent, if without fact check you spread a news which ultimately becomes false, itself would not become an offense of sedition. But however, people should themselves observe and make sure that what they are spreading is not false. So therefore, to that extent, it cannot be said that it would become an offense. But at least they must ensure that what they are spreading is correct or not, accurate or not.
I think this is the fine line, because one guy originates something which is running in his mind. He expresses his opinion, and by the time it snowballs and thousands of people tweet, retweet, forward, share, like, dislike, whatever that happens on the social media, it turns into something else. So let's come back to Vinod Dua's case, where he said that different aspects of preparedness of the government were not true as the government was claiming. So where it will fall? Will it fall like the Supreme Court has already judged that it is not sedition? So what kind of statement he made then? Is it fake news or real news? What is? Do you know anything about that?
Well, what he said And what the Supreme Court found was that he said that our biggest failure has been that we do not have enough facilities to carry out testing. So he said that we do not have testing facilities in India at that time when he put this video. The second thing that he said that till now we do not have any information how many PPE units, N95 masks we have and how many will become available by then. Third thing he said was that the ventilators needed in other countries and in India, respiratory devices and sanitizers were being exported till 24/3/2020 instead of keeping those for use in our country. The fourth thing he said is the supply chain got disrupted due to blockage of roads, and now it is being heard that transportation of essential goods has been allowed. The fifth statement which was used against him was that he said that it is not difficult to imagine that when the supply chains have been closed, when the shops are closed, some people had gone to the extent of fearing food riots, which have not happened in our country, would happen. And the sixth, he said that when people started returning from Mumbai, that should have been a big signal for the government about the effect the complete lockdown in this country can bring about, but no lessons were learned. So the Supreme Court, interpreting his statements, ultimately found that he was criticizing the government, which was within his right as a journalist, because it is not that every step of the government has to be appreciated. In fact, the right of the duty of the journalist is to bring out or to criticize what the government is not doing, so that the government can act accordingly. So if what he was doing was actually bringing it to the notice of the government, what it was lacking. And therefore, in doing that, he was not spreading any fake news. He was, with regards to his opinions, he was suggesting what he felt at that time was needed in the country. And therefore, this could in any manner not come within the offenses which were levied against him.
I think this is perfect. Your opinion is making a lot of sense, and what Vinod Dua said also is freedom of expression for every citizen of India. So I think thank you so much, Jeet, for coming over to our show and explaining very clearly what is sedition and what is not, and also distinguishing between fake news and a real journalism. So I think that is where the clarity you have brought it on, and it's thanks to you for clarifying this to our viewers.
Yes, also let me add here what a seditious speech is according to the Supreme Court. Because the Supreme Court in 1962 in the Kedarnath judgment, the speech which was considered as seditious is, I may just read out, wherein Kedarnath said that the Forward Communist Party does not believe in the doctrine of vote itself. The party had always been believing in revolution and does so even at present. We believe in that revolution which will come, and in the flames of which the capitalists, zamindars and the Congress leaders of India, who have made it their profession to loot the country, will be reduced to ashes, and on their ashes will be established a government of the poor and the downtrodden people of India. So making such statements inciting violence or seeking rebel or revolt would certainly amount to a seditious speech. But otherwise, every other speech would come within the protection of freedom of speech and expression.
I think it makes a lot of sense. So as the citizen of India, I think we should know the laws of our country, and we should also know what is allowed by the law and what is not. So Jeet, thank you so much for coming over and explaining this case, which is very, very valuable from your side in terms of opinion, which is coming to us for our learning. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Chandrakant, for having me.
So we will catch up with you in the next episode of Legal Matters. Until then, I'd like to say goodbye for today.
Goodbye, Chandrakant.